Hi again. Now I want to talk to you about time management and being successful in this class. To start with, you can do this. And my job, what I'm here for, is to help you do this. The suggestions that I have in here are suggestions both from me and from classmates or people who would have been your classmates last quarter, and what they found useful. So, the first thing is you need to make sure that you prepare. Don't overlook the assignments that aren't worth points. I'm not giving you points for reading the textbook because I don't know how. I'm giving you points for knowing the stuff that you read in the textbook or watched in the videos. The worksheets also are not graded. They're meant to be notes, kind of a way for you to actively take notes, and they include questions that I'm going to ask you in the your quests, in the quizzes, in the assignments. So do the worksheets. I like to print them out and just kind of have them with me as I'm taking notes. You can take notes without the worksheets, but like I said, the worksheets are a reference place. What sorts of things does Ms. Dorn want us to be noticing? Here it is. It's written here in the worksheets. The other thing that I didn't include on here, but I do want to mention, is lessons like the one you're doing right now. Those are meant to be ways to help you prepare. Those are also meant to be ways to get you participating, to get you actively learning. So the discussion forum is a big place where you get to actively work together, collaborate. It is not the only place. I know people get scared a little when I say that we're going to have collaborative learning, but research indicates that you're going to learn this stuff better if you have a conversation where you're trying to explain it to somebody, or a written conversation where you're trying to explain it. Show me what you know. And by doing that, you practice what you know, rather than just kind of sitting back and waiting for somebody else to say it. You process it better when you're doing it. And then practice. So participate and practice. So lots of opportunities to practice applying the terminology, understanding or explaining the concepts, describing things, identifying things. And you have these in the unit quests, the training quests, the writing assignments, any of the activities where I get you involved, right? And then the third one here I have is revise your understanding. So the first time you write something in the discussion forum, it might not be as well articulated as it is after you've had some conversation with people. So don't be afraid to go back in and say, hey, I have a better way to explain this. Or you can even edit your earlier posts. Writing assignments also offer us an opportunity to edit, to improve our understanding. And the other thing is the quests. So you've got a lot of opportunities where you're going to practice or get points for a thing, right? So a multiple choice question, you might see it in a training quest where you can retake it. And then in a unit quest where you get your points. And then you might see it again in the challenge quests, which happen every few chapters, every few units. So you've got lots of opportunities to practice that, but you also have opportunities to revise it. So if you miss a point on something, or points on something early on, like a training quest or a unit quest, if you miss a point early on, don't just say, shoot, well, darn it, don't worry about that. Go back and figure out why you missed that. I sometimes include comments like, an automatic pop-up that says, you missed this, you might want to look here, or don't confuse these two terms. Sometimes I'll also send a message privately, a message specifically to you and say, hey, it looks like you are confusing these two things. If I don't do that, though, you are always welcome to ask. You can ask, I think that's my next one. Oh, no, it's coming up in a moment. Anyway, asking questions. You can ask questions in the discussion forum. Hey, everybody, I missed this question. Or, hey, I had trouble with this question. Do you guys know what it was supposed to be? Or send me an email. Ms. Dorn, I missed this. Why, here we go. Ask questions. So, Ms. Dorn, I don't understand why I got number 3 wrong. Can you help me explain? And I'm happy to help explain. Sometimes, if a bunch of people miss question 3, I might just go straight into the discussion forum and say, hey, everybody had trouble with question 3. Let's talk about it. All right. So ask questions. Me, your classmates in the discussion forum, lots of opportunities to ask questions. I keep having to move myself out of the way. I don't know where I can go. There we go. this little graphic that's in your syllabus is also meant to just help you understand the different assignments as building on one another. So first you prepare, then you discuss or you practice, then you get another, well, what did I call them? Prepare, participate, practice, and then you get to see those again. So revise your understanding, whatever you missed here, and when you see that question again, you'll be in better shape. The writing planning assignments are done similarly. You do some research, some preparation, then you write, have a conference, have a discussion, revise what you were thinking, and when you submit it, submit the report, it's something that's a little bit more polished, a little bit improved from the earlier time. All right? So those are the things to keep in mind. Move myself again. Prepare, participate, practice, revise, ask lots of questions. Do all the stuff, basically, right? All right, so good time to talk about time management. This class is a 5-credit class. If we were having this class live, like if we were meeting in a classroom every day, I would meet you for 5 hours, 1 day a week, 1 hour a week for 5 days. And we'd talk, you'd talk, I'd talk, we'd do presentations and things like that. And then I'd expect you to do about 10 hours a week outside of class on homework, right? We don't have that. As you may have noticed, we're not meeting in a classroom. And so all 15 of those hours have to happen, I don't know when, right? So they have to happen at a time that you determine. Now, the good news is lots of flexibility. So if you have, there we go. If you have a, commitment at 9 o'clock on Tuesdays and we're not meeting that day, you can find a time to, move things around. But it also means that it's self-directed. Now, that's good news and bad news. The good news is you don't have to listen to me say, hey, everything's due, this day, or why aren't you working on this right now? But it also means that you don't have anybody, I call this no teacher nagging in class, right? If we were in a live class, when you came in on Tuesday, I'd say, hey, did you do your homework? Or I'd say, hey, did you get started on your report? Or did you do the reading, right? And we'd have that conversation, you'd have that reminder. In this class, the only way I can nag you is if you open up the window, if you read my email or you look at the video or whatever it is. And so you have to be in charge of what happens when. So you have to manage your own time. My recommendation is that you set aside time to work on this class every day. If you spend a couple hours every day, that's pretty close to 15 hours. Maybe you don't want to spend 2 hours at once. Maybe you want to spend an hour in the morning, an hour in the afternoon on this class, class time and homework time. Maybe hours too long. Maybe you spend half an hour and then 15 minutes and 15 minutes and you space your time throughout the day. You know your schedule and or if you don't, sit down and figure it out. When are you going to find the time to fit this stuff in, right? Is it after the kids go to bed? Is it in between work and your other classes? I don't know what your schedule is. Now, if you look at your schedule and you don't think you can fit 15 hours worth of work in most weeks, then you are going to have trouble finishing this class. If that's the case, please talk to me about it. But I do want you to be aware. This is, as I say, this is an online class. And so this has, this is a 5-credit class. This has the same academic expectations as an in-person class. So I am expecting you to do the work that you would also be expected to do if we met every day, if we met live every day. One more thing about time management, and that is, I don't know how to make the video go away, show up and then leave. So here's just kind of a little graphic of somebody spending 4 hours studying, right? And if you try to spend it all at once, like Nora here, if you try to sit down and crank through 4 hours of work all at once, you are going to lose some of that information. You're not going to be able to retain it because you're going to get exhausted. Right? But if you spend smaller amounts of time spread out, and look at Leslie, he is spending half an hour on a regular basis, probably spread out over several days, or a week or something like that. And the thing is that means every time Leslie comes back, Leslie is practicing this same stuff over and over again. Leanne is somewhere in the middle, and of course this is just a cartoon. These aren't actual students here. But think about how you're going to spread out that work over the course of a week to manage your time. All right, that's my recommendation. Now, I also have some suggestions from students. Last quarter, I taught an art history class. It was not this exact same one, but it was the same similar format and a lot of things. And partway through, I said, tell us what's working for you. I asked them to share with their fellow classmates something they did this quarter so far, so in the first half of the quarter, that really helped them be successful in class. And I got fascinating responses, lots of responses. People were excited to talk about this. And the good news for you guys is I'm going to share it with you now. You don't have to wait a quarter. Or half a quarter. So one of the things that got mentioned a bunch of time was planners and time management. So several people said get a planner, write everything down, make sure you're actually checking it every day. The school, I think, can give you, they have planners. Do you get a planner when you start school? I don't know. Check at the info booth. I think you can get a planner. But even a piece of paper or a notebook is fine. The Canvas page will tell you when some things are due, but it will not remind you to do the preparation. It will not remind you to do the reading other than in the overview page, right? There's not an automatic calendar alert that says, hey, your reading should have been done by now. So you need to set your own time. My other recommendation, which isn't quite what the student said, is plan to spend 5 minutes, plan to spend some amount of time, 15 minutes, half an hour, whatever it is, at a particular time each day. Right now, 9 o'clock is class time, or whatever time works for you. The other thing people talked about was prioritization and time management. One student said, if you don't want to do this now, what makes you think you're going to do it later? So get on yourself. Why are you taking this class? Why do you want to finish this class? You got to do the work if you're going to finish it. Some other suggestions. Take advantage of the discussion forums. Read over them before the quizzes or quests. Make sure you actually read your classmates' post. Review your quizzes. If you lose points, go back and review them again. Review the discussion boards. Review the overview pages. Write stuff down. Write down the worksheets. Take notes. Don't just think, I'll remember this, but actually write it down. Several students talked about using flashcards. One student said she doesn't have much time at a big chunk, but sometimes, when she's got a few minutes, she'll pull out the flashcards and study them real quick for 5 minutes before class, and she doesn't feel like she's wasting that time standing in line or waiting or whatever it is. Mind maps are another way we'll talk about later in the next lesson for writing this stuff down. Some other things people suggested, talk with me. One of the interesting things is that people always say this. They say that talking with me, they have a conversation with me, and just talking with me increases their confidence in being able to explain. And what I basically do is I say, explain it to me. And then the student explains it, and I say, see, you explained it. And they say, really? Yes, absolutely. So if you can't talk with me, well, you always can talk with me. But if you don't want to talk to me, talk to a friend, whether they're in art or not. Discuss it with them. And then there were some other suggestions about avoiding distractions, putting your phone on Do Not Disturb, telling your family, I'm not available right now if you're trying to work at home. Sit outside or sit somewhere else. And then Khan Academy. I've included some other resources as well. I've included this a whole bunch of places, but oh shoot, these are not my office hours. Sorry. The office hours for me, you can find in this assignment, in this lesson that we're doing now. Lots of ways to contact me. Canvas inbox. We can do a conference. You can come to my office. You can call. Lots of opportunities. Other sorts of things. Ignore those daily office hours. They're not correct in this thing. Talk to your classmates. Take advantage of the Writing Center in Palmer Martin or online or in Glen Anthem. I don't know if there's one down in Grandview. Get help from the reference librarians or folks in the library. That's what their job is there for. And then there's some other resources that I'll connect you to in this lesson and then in the next lesson and in Canvas. Thanks. Let me know if you have trouble.